Yakmala! Yakmala! Welcome back, my friends, to the Cult Film Showdown. I am your host, 8th Dan Stanadu, and I am pleased to be joined by my friends. And I have Jack Hall.
Sup?
Yo!
Sup? Yo. Chillin'?
Chillin', yeah. You know, gotta spend your sesterces somewhere, right? And so, of course, now we have Nick Boxer.
Greetings and salutations. I'm happy to be here to join the Sybil-ance season because Sybil Danning, wow, I love these movies.
Happy to be anywhere at our age, yes. But and finally, we have James Cotta.
I'm happy to be here, and I'm thrilled to report that once a volcano has gone off once, it'll never go off again.
That's absolutely right.
Just a little bit of science to start off the episode.
Science, yeah.
Science. Yes, weird science. But, so yeah, as we've mentioned, you know, we are working our way through the Sybil-ance season, which is all Sybil Danning all the time, which sounds like a great thing, and it really is. And this episode we are talking about the Warrior Queen movie that she does appear in, and now we are about to listen. Sit down, boys and girls, and settle in for story time. That's right. Story time with Nick Boxer as he explains Warrior Queen to us. The floor is yours, Nick.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you this. Last week we did Howling to Your Sister is a Werewolf, and I actually just wanted to throw up my hands to go, what story? But then I watched this film and went, oh, this is what a movie feels like with no story. What this movie is, Sybil Danning plays a warrior queen who visits Pompeii. And coincidentally, we have a young girl being sold to a slave girl being sold to a brothel in Pompeii. Then we have a series of vignettes that historically inaccurately, I believe, depict the debauchery and decadence of the Pompeii lifestyle in ancient Greece. Then a stop motion volcano explodes, and anyone who's slightly evil dies. The end of the movie. That's all that really happens. There is a slight love story between the slave girl and a gladiator, but and the jealousy that causes. But that's it. I wouldn't hang a movie on that love story because it's not that interesting and it doesn't take up that much time. Did I only mention this movie is only an hour and 10 minutes?
It's super duper short. There's no question about it.
Yeah, it's just a series of, okay, we're going to do a gladiator thing, and then we're going to do another thing with the slaves that shows off breasts, and then the king of Pompeii is going to catch some pigeons with a net.
There is as many, I think, as a dozen cuts for this. So, the one I saw, something like that. It's something like a dozen cuts for this, but I think the longest goes into 79 minutes. But, 70 minutes was plenty.
Yeah, and I think that's the interesting question, right, when you talk about this movie. It's just like 79 minutes, so 9 minutes. Now, what would they have filled that with, considering I think that of the 70 minutes, at least 10 minutes is stock footage from something else.
I tell you one thing, Sybil Danning better not have been paid by the word, otherwise she is not making much money in this sucker.
Well, I think there's an honest 15 minutes where they don't say any words and everything is just actions head swooshes and stuff like that, where it's just like, yes, okay, I assume you want me to go to the right because you have motioned your head to the right, and that's it.
It's quite a film. I missed early on when they said it was Pompeii. So about 10 minutes before the end of the movie, it was like a total left turn that someone's like, hey, that Mount Vesuvius, I think it might erupt. I'm like, are they in Pompeii?
So you
movie am I
catch
watching?
all the, like, we're going to stare at the volcano.
Well, there's lots of volcanoes. Like, they don't even talk about it being a volcano. They just look they're just looking at a mountain for like a huge chunk of this movie. If you don't know if you missed that it's Pompeii, they're just looking at a mountain. And I'm like, is that the movie I'm watching? Like, am I watching the end of? Is that what's actually happening? And then the last time it's just that.
Exactly. The final.
I was also asking if it was the movie I was watching. That's because I thought this was a sword and sorcery movie, and instead it's a sword and sandals movie, and those are different things. So it lacked the special effects and the magic that I thought would make it so over the top crazy. I mean, it's crazy, but in a different way than I expected.
Yeah. I mean, and it's true because, and at the same time, you do think to yourself, okay, Warrior Queen starring Sybil Danning from the director of Preppies. And it's like,
yes.
Wait, how can this go wrong in any way? And then you watch it and you're like, okay, so that's how. But
there
wasn't
enough Sybil Danning.
Fair enough. There was a subtle thing that I didn't quite, I don't know if it didn't pay off or if it was too subtle. At one point, Sybil Danning is trying to save this slave girl, and the slave girl has a necklace, and Sybil Danning says, like, we're of the same people, something like that. So she's going to help her because, like, they're of the same tribe. Like, I can't remember what words she says, but I couldn't tell if the implication is that they're Jewish or Christians. Like, I don't know where that was going.
I assumed they were both from a warrior tribe, but that could have been just cut from a different movie. This could have been just a stock footage movie, like they had leftover scenes from something else.
Leftover from something else. Something there, John?
I just think it was, I think they were maybe Swedish or just whatever. They're the tribe of big-breasted blonde women.
Which is a great tribe, like wherever the hell that is.
Favorite.
Let's go look for that. And it's interesting because you talk about that part was subtle. Well, you want to know what wasn't subtle. Donald Pleasance was not subtle at all. There's a lot to that guy.
Oh man, it's like he was in that episode of Star Trek where they're back in ancient Rome. That's the level that's the level of the room when Donald Pleasance is on screen.
It's so true. Like, I do not know if the director told him anything, or if it was just like, well, you're Donald Pleasance, you do whatever the fuck you want. And he did.
It's like he's in like Caligula, and everyone else is in this other movie.
Yes.
Actually, have we checked? Is Donald Pleasance listed in Caligula, and he just didn't make the cut, and they made the movie out of it?
Deleted scene.
What was the line he had? Something like, "Oh, there's my disgusting wife." Something like that. That was like the best line of the movie.
It's got his wife that he just hates. Like it's a weird subplot that Donald Pleasance hates his wife. She hates him, and she just messes around with all of the gladiators in the court.
There's my disgusting wife. Did you give your character the satisfaction he needed? And then he laughs. It is progressive for its LGBTQ for 1987 themes. I'll give it that.
I think if there's deleted sex scenes, you lose points on that end. But it seems progressive unless you know that there was supposed to be a 3-minute scene after that was less progressive. Wasn't some
the whole volcano thing? Is that just because they didn't know how to end the film? And they're like, this.
Yeah, it felt like,
this seemed to come out of nowhere.
I think vignettes, Nick had said vignettes, and that's kind of sums up the feel of the movie. It's like there isn't a really cohesive plot. And it's weird to say that for a 79-minute movie that's not tight enough.
Our version, 70, wasn't it?
Yeah, our version was, I believe it wound up being 69 minutes, and so it's 69, but it's one of those.
Yeah, it's an extra 69 minutes, 69. Yeah, the score's extra high for that.
Because yes, we watched the Prime, who is not a sponsor of the show, and they should be. That's where we watched ours. 69 minutes, and again, still felt a bit padded.
Definitely, yeah. Well, because
and the volcano sequence at the end has got to be 15 minutes.
Oh, I was going to say 2.5 hours. Yeah. I was going to say 2.5 hours of the 69-minute runtime.
And calling that a scene is stretching it a bit. Because it's just people running and stuff falling down, cut to a volcano. I mean, that I obviously not filmed for this film.
So yes, I have it in front of me. 55 minutes is when they're like, hey, it's a bit hazy out. It's kind of smoky and hazy. Is this okay? So, 14 minutes.
Which is a huge percentage. Yes.
Yeah.
For this volcano to show up, it only kills the bad guys.
Yes. Everyone else just walks away.
Targets the bad guys. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, for a film called Warrior Queen, I'm not saying she did no fighting, but there was not much fighting from Sybil Danning. And the quality of the fighting we did see made you glad for that. Because
I was also questioning whether she was a queen of some sort.
Well, I thought she was bad in her fighting. What was that one we saw? Panther Squad? I thought that was some bad choreography in her fighting. This was even worse, dude. The one in the opening sequence where they're trying to steal her, what do you call it? Their chariot or whatever she's in, and she beats off those two guys, and I don't mean the way it sounded.
You just
beats up those guys. Now this movie would have gotten a 10 for memorable moments if that'd be the case. But
ancient Rome, you can't make a Freudian slip in ancient Rome.
How do you possibly have a movie with this much nudity and of all the people that are stay clothed?
Well, obviously they did not have the budget to get her to take her top off and then reuse it 17 times.
The nudity in this was quality. I mean, sure, we didn't get Sybil Danning. That would have been better. But we got a lot.
There wasn't a lot. There's a couple of awkward nude scenes, but where there's beautiful women who are completely naked, but they're also being sold as slaves. So it's a bit of a mixed bag there.
That is
just part of the course of the genre, though.
But yeah, no, the woman who's the real lead of the film, oh my goodness, when she went and got it all off, I went, this is so 10 and something.
Which one of I actually couldn't remember any of the names. So which one does Samantha Fox play? Philomena is what she's credited as, but I actually don't remember whether that's the main woman or like the.
I don't think that was the main woman. I don't think she was the main woman.
She's like the pal. She's like the friend who's like, goes on double dates with her.
Yeah. The one who also doesn't get naked, but is clearly never wearing a bra.
Yeah, she was an adult film star, not Samantha Fox. Not the singer.
Not the singer. Yes.
Not the singer. Okay. You know what? It might have been that. She might have also been the one who was what was it? She liked to hang out with the slaves and be sold as a slave because she liked the sex. But
yes, I do.
She actually wasn't.
Yeah, that's right.
That is.
I think that's who.
I
think that's who she was.
You are correct. You are correct, sir.
Yeah. Which, by the way, is a weird character choice. Hey, I just like the sex. I can't get it any other way. So, slave, it's kinky. And then I'll do the kinky stuff, slave stuff, and then I'll go home.
It is a weird character. For sure.
Well, I mean, this movie does have weird. Yeah.
Let's find out just how weird.
All right.
Ready for scoring here?
I think so.
For me.
All right.
Wait, what does this film teach you?
Oh, what did this film teach me? I learned a tremendous amount about ancient Rome that I didn't know before, and the kind of thing you can't learn in books. Particularly research.
I learned that catching doves and arm wrestling and arm wrestling, against spikes that are poisoned, which none of these things are ways to impress Sybil Danning. So if you're taking notes at home, those aren't the things.
I learned all gladiatorial sports are unnecessarily complicated.
I learned
involve a lot of construction.
I learned Donald Pleasance was subtle in Halloween.
That's the understated Donald Pleasance. I saw THX 1138, so I already knew that. All right, our search.
All right, that's what the film taught us.
All right, in the search for an ultimate B movie, we rate each film in 5 categories, none of which is objective quality. The first one is called Schlock Appeal. We start with Stan.
Well, I'll give you a hint. In the search for the ultimate B movie, Warrior Queen will not be it. But it's a weird movie because of the fact that it is vignettes and because it isn't really cohesive in any way, and it's I don't actually think it's the easiest movie to watch. So I can't say that I'm going to give it a high score. I think it's 6, just because it includes so much weird stuff, but it's not that much fun.
Yeah, I'm going a little higher. I'm going with a 7, just because they obviously had a film with nudity and went, we can't release this, but, well, let's slap a title on there like Warrior Queen and sell it as something else. That's schlocky, 7.
It's more sleazy than schlocky. Not necessarily quite the same things. It's more, and it's not really, you're not laughing, you're not enjoying it because it's so bad. It's just bad in one of those makes you shake your head and wonder what the hell is what the hell, just in general. But you can't deny these. It's got a quality. It's definitely a B movie. It's a cult film. It's all this stuff. I'll give it a 6 as well.
I think that the packaging and the idea of this movie is better than any of the execution. I think I started this on Prime like 3 times and stopped watching it, and then it got added to the season. I'm like, I guess I'll see the end of this now. So I think that everything draws you in, but it doesn't necessarily stick the landing. 7 for me as well. And I say as well, that's what Nick gave it. So our next category is called More Heart Than Budget, and I couldn't find a budget.
A nickel.
Nothing. I couldn't find anything. There's very little trivia about this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have a hard time with this one. This one is so slapdash, put together. Like, it's Pompeii, it's, we've got a whole bunch of stock footage of, Volcano erupting, and we're going to put Sybil Danning and we're going to do some stuff, and everybody's going to look bored, for.
I'll give it a 2 entirely on Donald Pleasance's performance.
That's true. Donald Pleasance never looked
wanted
bored
to be in this, other than Donald.
Yeah, it's just a sword and sandal movie when these things were super hot at the time. So, I mean, it felt like it went into production just purely based on that. For what they were doing, for what they tried to do and wanted to do, they did it well enough for what they were doing, I suppose. But I'll also give it a 4 as well.
I think all of those things, but I think the costuming and the set design was pretty well done. I mean, If you told me it was left over from another film, it would not at all surprise me. But I think that element had some quality to it.
I had to assume that it was left over.
All the way up to a 5
Ooh.
for me. What the fuck moments?
Yeah, I think that, it's an interesting one because I don't feel like there is a lot of what the fuck other than the fact that the story makes no real sense, and we've said that a million times about any of these movies. There's a couple of random little points, like I think there's a point during one of the scenes where there is a little person, and they cut away to like the same shot of him like ha 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 laughing about 3 times in it, and that's like, whoa, that's kind of weird. But and just the the gladiator scene, some of the just the fact that they take the story towards this this couple, and there's this one point where so our slave girl and our slave boy that fall in love, and they have this point where they kiss, and I swear it looks like they've never kissed anybody in their lives, because it looks like they're trying
like
to
he's trying to eat her, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's like they're mangling their mouths against each other and doing weird things, and I'm like, see, that's very out of place, but yeah, for the most part, I don't consider this terribly what the fuck. I don't consider it much at all. 5.
Yeah, that this was tough just because I don't know what this movie was supposed to be. For something to be out of place, it has to have a place to go in the first place.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, this movie is just started on, those Romans were decadent and violent and naked, and they liked their whores. The end. Yeah, I can't go high. 4.
The slaves seem to have an awful lot of freedom here, didn't they?
They do seem to wander around a lot.
They're slaves. They just wander around, and the gladiators had a lot of, who technically are also slaves, seem to have a lot of freedom and, do whatever they want. That's WTF. There's a WTF vibe to the movie, as you say, that flows more into crazy concept, I suppose, and yet that doesn't seem too crazy either. It's just a WTF vibe because it's unlike anything else, but there's not moments really that stick out. So I only got a 3 on this.
Yeah, I think confusing more than what the fuck a lot of this movie is.
Way to put it.
Yeah, I think the freedom aspect can be explained as they were in a slave area for the entire movie.
It's like a slave neighborhood or something. But I mean, if someone comes in and pays for the friggin' show, they have an audience. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, and they go on a picnic.
An audience from another movie.
Yeah, exactly. Only a 4 for me as well. Memorable moments.
Well, now, so this is an interesting one for me because 3 months ago I watched this movie, and when it was brought up as Warrior Queen, I was thinking to myself, hey, I wonder, I wonder which movie that is, and I went and was like, I don't remember this movie at all. I did watch it, and then I started watching it, and I was just like, oh, this is the one where Donald Pleasance goes completely off his rocker and does weird shit, and nothing else happens. And so I didn't remember anything, but now I can pretty much say that I'll just remember Donald Pleasance going off his rocker and doing weird shit. So I'm going to give it a 2. Now, I did miss the fact that in What the Fuck's the Warrior Queen poster art, which is amazing and has absolutely nothing to do with the movie.
It's Boris, isn't it?
Yeah,
it does have the characters in the movies, but I believe it's a Boris.
Sure, but they don't look like the characters in the movie.
No, it's like that original. It's like that original Star Wars poster that makes it look like a sword and sorcery epic.
Yes, that's right.
It's almost the same pose too, actually. It's the Conan pose.
Yeah, I have to say, I actively was forgetting this movie while watching it. So yeah, 2.
While watching it. I love that. You were forgetting the movie while watching it.
You could have rewound the movie and been like, hey.
It's kind of like throwing like spaghetti against the wall. It just, it'll stick for a second, but it's not going to stay up there for the full 2 hours or
the movie
69 minutes.
If you're forgetting it during it. That way we explain why I didn't understand the ending to 7. Let's see. Memorable. The chicks are smoking hot. So I might remember that. 3?
I'm going to remember it was that movie about Pompeii, and that's really, really rough because that means the entire rest of the movie is going to go away, I think. 2. Can raise a concept.
Well, here's the interesting thing. So I guess it was probably about, 5 or 8, 8 years ago or whatever that they released the movie called Pompeii. And I actually do view this as a better movie about Pompeii than that one.
I think I've seen that and remember less of it.
Yes. But yeah. Oh, geez. I mean, this right here. What are you talking about? Crazy concept. It's just like, wow, it's the ultimate in not crazy concepts. I mean, it's a sword and sandal movie that has no actual storyline where you've thrown nudity into it. It's Chuck Vincent doing what Chuck Vincent does, which is just, put tits on the screen. 0.
Yeah, this is a genre film that I don't know. The concept of this genre at this time, I believe, was let's put sex and violence on the screen, but somehow they made it boring with this one. Which is, yeah, I guess that should have been in WTFs. 1.
I guess I'm a little more generous. See, this is a movie back in the day. Like, I wanted to see this movie, but they used to have, video stores, and you'd be able to rent R-rated movies once you got to, usually about age 10, you'd be able to get an R-rated movie. And then there were certain films which video stores would put their own stickers on going, rated R, must be 18. And this was one of those banned movies. And so I always wanted to see it as a kid, and I could never see it. It was banned until you were 18, virtually everywhere. And I could see why. It's a choice for all the nudity. A 2.
I think you're rating the VHS box, not the movie.
Yeah, that's for sure.
VHS box is totally memorable and everything. So
yeah. It is called Warrior Queen and does not feature a warrior queen. 3.
Takes a little while.
We never mentioned that the one good fight she's in, she decapitates a guy in like one of the worst decapitation shots I've ever seen in a movie.
Pretty
she just
violent movie.
Yeah, she just basically whacks his head off with the side of a sword. 3. Right, that brings us to the end of the votes, and it does gain an extra 1 out of 100 for being under 80 minutes, which it will need. It comes to an irrespectable 37 out of 100, tying it with both Space Rage, which I do not remember what that is, and Ramblin' Man.
Is Space Rage the Michael Paré movie, or is it the? Yeah.
Maybe.
I think it might have been, but what was the other one? Ramblin' Man? Yeah. That Ramblin' I remember Man. At least.
Yeah, at least I remember Ramblin' Man.
Yeah. Wow.
It's correct. The Michael Paré and the guy from Anne of Green Gables.
So this movie, which does have a cult following, it's a movie and it's on Amazon Prime and it's got that memorable poster that you all remember from the VHS days. What a disappointment that it comes in at this score. I know. What a surprise, really.
Oh, no. If I went in just based on that poster, I would I was expecting high marks all around and did not get it.
Well, I mean, this is the kind of case where you think of Deathstalker 2, where it's just like, you're like, this is what you're wanting is Deathstalker 2, and suddenly you're left with this confusing little haphazard movie where they just slap shit on the screen and barely bothered to use Sybil Danning, except for her like kind of glowering at Donald Pleasance. I mean, for a movie that has Sybil Danning and Donald Pleasance to score this low, that's crazy. But
we should be able to sue. I don't know who, but
if I had been able to watch this back in the day in the VHS era, if it hadn't been banned and I had seen it, I wouldn't have cared how bad it was. I would have been so enamored with the nudity level that I would have been very happy with it. So
and I agree with that.
I guess that means I've matured.
Well, it does sort of get bonus points because, I mean, it's just not like, a tip shot. If anyone gets naked in this movie, they get fully naked and have scenes.
Well, yeah, and that's a Chuck Vincent staple right there, and that's the thing, because he's a Playboy channel director. I mean, so I get it, but that's.
Are we, actually, now that you mention that, are we absolutely sure this has no connection to Caligula?
But I think the problem comes down to, like, that's why this isn't such a crazy concept, is because you took all of these things that should have been amazing and completely squandered them by doing nothing with it.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't insist on a lot of stories, but some is...
Yes. Jim?
Let's do some business and then get to some business.
All right, well, we're the Cult Film Showdown. We're on Patreon. Look us up. You can support what we're doing. We're looking at doing some exclusive content that'll come out to our Patreon folks, and we're trying to build a community there. We're also on YouTube, and find, subscribe, like, comment, tell us you don't like our funny voices, and also we're on Instagram, Cult Film Showdown. And we're sponsored by WeTalkPodcast.com. That is the home of the Octagon, where you can see the whole record of our Search for the Ultimate B movie, which is over 100 films now that we have rated. And We Talk Podcast has a Twitter and they have a Facebook.
That's right. We're taking the bullets so you don't have to.
That's right.
All right. Now gets to one of my favorite portions. Always of this every season. One of my two favorite parts. Here we go.
Yeah,
Do we have the generator?
Oh, the generator's not. I completely forgot we were doing this.
Generator.
I wonder what I'm going to suggest.
Got it before. Pick this for the next season.
Yeah, I wonder what my idea is.
It's true. I'm glad I had one kind of kicking around.
Trust the honor system. If you come up first, you will do it.
I will indeed. I would never go against the generator.
Has anybody else forgotten?
Well, I didn't remember that we were doing it either, but I had one that I'm good with.
Yeah, I didn't remember either, but I do have one in the offer because
Jack certainly got the edge here. Jack certainly got the edge because he remembered.
When I said let's do some business and then we can do some business, no wonder you guys sounded confused. You're like, what's he talking about?
It's like, what? What's going on?
I always sound like that, though.
It's our silly voices. That's the problem.
Well, as it happens, Jack, the generator has put you up first.
Oh, okay. Well, guys, I don't know about you, but I don't want any 37s. I want to guarantee that we get at least four movies in the 80 range, if not all 8. In all 8, at least in the 70 range. I only know one way to do that. And it is something we've been avoiding, and I don't know why. We haven't done a single movie from the studio, but let's face it. If we cannot look into the catalog from Troma and find ourselves 8 movies that score high, then we don't deserve to be watching cult films at all. Let's have ourselves a traumatic season.
I could do that.
Nick's just gonna skip coming up, getting an idea. Yeah, let's just do that.
I'm waiting for the generator.
Jimmerate. Oh, it's me. All right. Okay, so I'm thinking of all of the things that have done well on the show, that we have enjoyed doing, what I enjoy watching out of competition, and I named this after, it's a reference to the Tick comic book. I don't believe this was ever used in the cartoon or in the various TV shows. The original storyline of the Tick comic book was called Night of a Million Zillion Ninjas. So this is an all ninja season. That's what
I could also do that.
And Jimmerate. Stan.
All right. Well, I call this one, and I was worried. I got worried that Jack was going to steal my idea there for a second, but I call this one Looking Down the Barrel of a Gun, because I want to do canon. We've done some canon movies, but there's no doubt that canon is rife with quality for this show, and I'd like to do 8 good canon movies.
All right. Do we have to Jimmerate with only one person?
Yeah, I just have to keep hitting the random generator until it hits 2. There you go.
All right. Okay, I'm calling this season Balls to the Walls, Boys. And I think my concept is no concept. We all bring the most schlocky, big movies that we have in our catalog and just go on an all out, let's get in the top 5 nuts season ever. Just blow it all out, empty the reserves, and whoever gets the highest score gets to pick the next season after. So the stakes are high.
All right. It's interesting. I think we just go through our normal roll for voting here.
Sure.
Or do we Jimmerate for that? I can't remember.
No, just go through. Or just, just say stuff.
Just say stuff.
I'm going to say that one of the other ideas I was going to pitch was canon films, so I'm going to vote for canon films.
I'm going to vote for ninjas.
I was going to vote for ninjas, but I think the canon
we'll give you ninjas.
Idea will include mostly ninjas. So canon.
Well, I think the problem with canon for me is we've already taken off 3 or 4 of the most schlocky already. So not that there isn't a whole bunch there, but boy, I'm disappointed. No votes for Trauma. We have never done a Trauma film.
I think the problem for me with Trauma is that every time I try to watch some of the odd not quite Trauma movies that they're distributing, I don't really find them particularly good. And then the Trauma ones are almost too self-referential, and so they feel like this is exactly what they're made for.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see how one would score, but I guess we're doing canon. So yeah, that's all right. We'll find ourselves some canon.
I think you could better come up with a better idiom with the word cannon than looking down the barrel of a gun.
That's fine. I
was trying to find one.
Honestly, I was. The thing is, I came up with it 10 seconds before I had to talk because I forgot that we were doing it in the end, and it was just from watching Death Wish movies that I was just like, canon. We should do canon.
I'm also watching the canon era of Chuck Norris, and there's a couple of those that are great. All right.
Yes.
Canon films it is, and in our tradition, we're gonna forget and rename the season 3 or 4 times anyway.
That's right, for sure.
That's pretty much business as usual.
Yes. Well, all right. Well, anyways, next season is next season, whatever the hell it's called. This season carries on. Sybil-ance carries on with Chained Heat coming up next episode. So please tune in for that. Does anyone have anything else to say before we go away? Apparently not, which is excellent. So, for Jim, and for Jack, and for Nick, I am your host, 8th Dan Stanadu, and thanks for listening to the Cult Film Showdown.
My lovely highness, I know we cannot hope to compare with the marvels of Rome. We have very little to offer here except a little quiet, perhaps an occasional diversion. And to that end, my lovely highness, my beautiful highness, mistress to the esteemed Titus, the greatest Caesar Rome has ever known, we have spared no expense. We have prepared a very special little contest, your lovely highness, for your viewing pleasure. The fighter who falters shall find himself doubly doomed. The spike shall enter his hand, and the poison shall enter his bloodstream. Begin.
You loved me once.
I've loved many women once.